Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. So in this video today, we'll be discussing about a very important concept in the field of project management, which is the bullwhip effect. Now, if you're planning to develop your career in project management with certifications such as the PMP, a good understanding of key project management topics is of utmost importance to build your overall profile. So that way, while certifications like the PMP gives your profile the right credibility, the knowledge about critical project management concepts such as the bullwhip effect provides you with the right subject matter expertise. I strongly believe, guys, the aim of this channel is not only to prepare you for project management certification exams, but also to help you grow your overall capability to be a better project manager. So in this video, we'll be discussing about what is the bullwhip effect and how it can be detrimental to your project if you are not aware of this phenomena as a project manager. Okay, so let's get the discussion started. So we'll divide this video into two easy to understand sections. Okay, first, we'll understand what is the bullwhip effect, what causes it, and why it can be so damaging for your projects. And next, we'll be discussing about how, as a good project manager, you can manage the bullwhip effect to drive excellence in your projects. So, if you're excited to learn about this topic, give this video a like and let's jump into the topic right now. So, what is the bullwhip effect and how is it linked to project management? The bullwhip effect is a macro phenomena that occurs in a supply chain when the demand for a product fluctuates unexpectedly. Now, for those of you who don't know what a supply chain is, very simplistically speaking, it is the journey of a product or a service from its point of generation till it reaches the end user or the end customer. The term bullwhip effect was coined by J. Forrester, an American engineer and systems theorist, in 1961, and for this reason, the bullwhip effect is sometimes also called as the Forrester effect. Now, the bullwhip effect is characterized by an amplification of the fluctuations in the demand that propagates up the supply chain. This means that minor changes in the demand at the customer or end user level can be magnified as they move upstream in the supply chain, resulting in larger, more unpredictable swings in the demand at the supplier level. This can cause disruption and inefficiency in the supply chain, resulting in higher costs and low quality of delivery for the supplier and ultimately for the consumer. As a case in point, let's discuss about a company that was affected by the bullwhip effect, and that was Amazon. Amazon was hit hard when demand for its product and services suddenly spiked during the COVID pandemic, leading to a bullwhip effect. This caused a strain on their supply chain and caused shortages in many of their products. The sudden demand surge caused the company to struggle with its stock levels, resulting in increased costs and delays in delivery during the COVID pandemic. Now, since we have understood the overall concept of bullwhip effect, let's talk that how bullwhip effect is relevant in the field of project management. In the project management scenario, guys, bullwhip effect is seen as the compounding effect of variations or problems that arise at the beginning of your project that gets magnified at the later stages of the project and often throws the entire project off track. Let's try to understand this with an example. Let's say at the planning stage of your project, one of your key coding resources leaves the company. Now you may say, okay, what's the big deal? I still have coders in my team and I will start the project anyways and we'll see how it goes from there. one person leaving a team at the start of a project is no big deal, right? Well, not really, okay? So let's understand why. As soon as you start the execution phase and your coding team starts the tasks assigned to them, delays start showing up. Also, now you see that the remaining coders in your team are not as skilled or as experienced as the person who left your team. Anyways, the project progresses and now there is a major change that comes in your project which requires additional coding work. Okay, so what will you do? You are already running short of one resource and your existing resources are at capacity and they are not as capable as your team member who left initially. Since you do not have an option now, you go out and hire an external coder at a premium cost. Now this comes as a cost hurt in your project and you are forced to use the majority of your project reserve funds to fund this external resource. Moving on, there is another added scope in your project which needs additional funds. Now, what will you do? You have already used the majority of your reserves in the previous step, right? As the only option left, you choose to get this done with the existing resources but with 2 weeks of additional time. Now, this 2 weeks of additional time might have been okay with your internal resources of your team, but this was not agreed with your external coder. So, you need to pay him extra now, right? So that's another cost hurt for you. You get a strong feedback from your sponsor, the team's morale is low, and you as the project manager are now in deep trouble. So you see guys, how an apparently small problem of one person leaving the team at the beginning of the project gets magnified as the project progresses across its life cycle. So this is how guys bullwhip effect is seen in projects, and you as an experienced project manager need to manage such kind of risks very early in your project so that later they don't blow out of proportion and throws your entire project off track. So by definition, bullwhip effect in projects is the phenomena where apparently small variations or risk events in the early stages of a project becomes magnified to bigger variations and risks in your scope, cost or schedule at the later stages of the project. I hope that was simple enough for you to understand, right? Now let's talk about what are the key reasons which can result in bullwhip effect in your project and how as a good project manager you can control or manage them. The first reason why bullwhip effect can show up in your project is due to the lack of early change management. If in a project a lot of changes are accommodated in the initial stages without proper review and impact analysis, this can result in bullwhip effect later in your project. Each of these changes may seem very trivial initially, but the combined effect of all of them in the matured stages of a project can often become very difficult to manage. So as a good project manager, you need to spend a disproportionate amount of time during the initiation stage of a project to define a robust and complete scope, and once you have done that, you need to be very choiceful in accommodating change requests once a project starts. The second most common reason why bullwhip effect can show up in your project is due to the lack of understanding of how a macroeconomic or socio-political event can impact your project in the long term. The rising crude oil prices during the Russia-Ukraine war is a classic example of this. If you were a project manager at that time when crude oil prices were skyrocketing across the world and your project depended heavily on imports or transportation, you as a project manager would have been in a very challenging situation if you had not protected any risk funds for this event. The same thing goes for the situation of Brexit as well. Apparently, Brexit may not have been directly related to a project that you were doing in the UK at that time. But if your project depended heavily on imports of raw materials from the European Union, there would have been very high chances of your project costs going haywire. So the learning is, guys, as a good project manager, you should always keep your eyes and ears open to such socio-economic events when you kick off a project. Finally, the third reason why bullwhip effect can show up in your project is if you fail to identify a critical stakeholder in the initiation stage of a project. Let's see the 49 process chart from the process group practice guide. There is a reason, guys, why PMI mandates this step of identifying stakeholders during the initiation stage of a project. And the reason for that, as many of you have rightly guessed by now, is to avoid bullwhip effect of missing out on this critical step of identifying stakeholder in the initiation stages of your project. A seemingly inconsequential stakeholder, if not identified properly during the initiation stage of a project, may throw your entire project off track in the later stages due to the bullwhip effect. I am sure many of you who are project managers right now relate to this example very well. Think about it. Have you come across any situation like this in your projects? I hope you have liked the video, guys. If you have liked the video, please press the like button and subscribe to my channel PMP with Ray. And I'll see you again in another video like this very soon in this channel. Bye bye and have a nice day.